With Sasuke creating havoc in the battlefield with his Susanoo, I bet you want to become the ultimate ninja, flexing how cool you are with your Mangekyo. But even after getting the skin, your career looks something like this. This drop moment, don't worry, his ultimate Suyou guide will turn you into Uchiha Sasuke, or at least the pro Suyou who everyone fears. Hi guys, Kazuki here, and in this video we are covering the ultimate advanced Suyou guide, which contains just everything you need to know and master about him. So let's kick off this video with a quick skill explanation. If you already are familiar with his skills, then you can jump to this timestamp. The most important and best thing about Suyou is his ability to switch from an agile assassin to a more bulky fighter type hero, just with the hold of any skill through his passive Transient Immortal, making him one-of-a-kind hero in the Land of Dawn. Just hold any of his skills for a short amount of time and he switches his form and reverts back on tapping any skill, giving him an extra movement speed bonus in this state. His first skill, Blade Surge on tap, is a fast long-ranged blink which makes him invulnerable while casting and deal damage in its path, as well as on the end of the blink in the opposite direction. Great for quick engages and surprise burst, as well as escape scenarios when getting chased. On hold, the first skill, Blink, comes with an extra set of crowd control stunning enemies at the end of the blink. A great option for diving in team fights and flanking off enemies, as well as lane dives. The second skill, Soul Seaver on tap, deals heavy damage in a fan-shaped area, whereas on hold, it gives AoE damage with 3 cleave strikes in a fan-shaped area. This skill is one of his main damage source as it deals damage according to the target's lost HP, used for burst and providing damage to a large number of enemies. And at last, his ultimate Evil Queller on tap makes Suyou move slightly backwards and deal damage along its path while reducing the movement speed by 30 seconds, and on hold makes Suyou charge an arrow and shoot in the designated direction of choice. The important thing to keep in mind here is the more you hold, the range of the skill will increase accordingly. Best skill to weep off and slow down retreating enemies as well as finish them off. Now I guess there shouldn't be any problem in understanding how his skill works, but using them to their fullest potential will require high mechanics in using them wisely. But before jumping on mechanics, let's dwell into the skill combos. Now there can be 3 types of skill combos for Suyou: the quick assassin type kills and retreat combos, the team fight sustain and continuous damage output combos, and the mixed combos of both styles. Let's start with assassin type combos. Skill 1 tap, skill 2, then skill 3. Used mostly for bursting out squishy enemies quickly while flanking lanes or bush hopping. The advantage of the combo is his quick and fast damage output, which can surprise off enemies. It is also good for going in and out for team fights, just like an assassin. Another variation of this combo goes like this: skill 2 tap plus basic attack plus skill 3 tap plus skill 1 tap. This combo is used for flanking enemies who are vulnerable and unaware of the surroundings. Disadvantage is it can be pulled off in close range, so it needs to be mostly done from bushes. Remember, these combos should be performed on enemies who have a lower HP percentage, like mages and marksmen, or in cases where you are sure you can finish off the enemy. Next, if we hop on to team fight combos, it goes like skill 1 hold, skill 2 hold, basic attack, then skill 3 hold. Used generally in jumping into team fights, flanking and finishing of enemies. A great engage option which can give you ample amount of sustain and damage output too. The disadvantage is if we pull off with wrong calculation and timing, then it's sure to give you an imminent death as you will be diving in on multiple enemies. Skill 3 hold, skill 1 hold, skill 2 hold, then basic attack. Used mostly in scenarios when team fight has already started and when you are diving a bit later rather than engaging. Make sure to gives you enough damage output and couple of AoE skills when going in. Disadvantage is relying on your team to initiate the fight, and if you chose to engage in this way, if you are left with no way of escape and positioned in between multiple enemies. Skill 2 hold, basic attack, then skill 3 hold. Generally used when enemies catch you and you need to out-sustain them, while you can wait for your first skill to finish CD and have option to escape or re-engage. And I think the most important combos which are must to know are the mixed combos, as it gives you a mix of all the skills at a time and increases your options even more. Skill 1 tap, skill 2 hold, basic attack, then skill 3 hold. I personally prefer this combo most of the time when diving in 1 or 2 targets to give them an ample amount of burst and shoot them down when they try to retreat. The main flaw I found was this can be used effectively after 1 or 2 item spike on Suyou to ensure guaranteed kills. Skill 1 hold, skill 2 tap, then skill 3 tap. Used mostly for stunning and finishing off a single target, has a good range to engage. But if you miss your first skill CC, then it's better if you don't pull this combo off, as it will make you vulnerable in a very bad spot. Skill 1 tap, skill 2 hold, then skill 3 tap. Used in cases where you can afford to lose quickness to prioritize damage output on enemies, as you revert back to human form in last, so you give a small window to enemies to gank on you. Skill 1 tap, skill 2 tap, then skill 3 hold. Used in quick elimination to targets and having immortal state to back you up in case of flanking from enemies. Lower damage output than others and should be used mostly in chasing scenarios. As you revert in immortal form, you create a much larger window to be ganked, as you have lost your movement speed bonus from human form. Now that you have a gist of all of his combos, let's discuss on how to use them. To make sure you use your combos effectively, you need to access the situation first before going in. There isn't a great amount of cooldown period on Suyou's skill, so don't be afraid in using them more oftenly. If you can time the skills nicely, then by the time you finish a combo, you will have your skills almost ready. Suyou is a great engager, so don't be hesitant while engaging and try to flank lanes constantly. Access the enemy lineup and use combos accordingly to the situations I mentioned along the way, and I bet you will see your performance increase drastically. But to enhance them even more, have a look at his best build and emblem sets. I recommend going with Assassin Emblem with Rupture as Talent 1, Season Hunter in Talent 2, and Lethal Ignition in Talent 3 when going with Retribution or Jungle Role in your team along with this build. Tough Boots, Vorex is the core item, followed by Sky Piercer, Sea Halberd, Rose Gold Meteor, and the last item according to the enemy lineup like Winter Truncheon or Immortality or Brute Force if you think you need that extra survival time, or offensive item like Blade of Despair or Malefic Gun if you need more burst potential. When going for laning, use the Fighter Emblem with Firmness in Talent 1, Festival of Blood in Talent 2 and Brave Smite in Talent 3. Pair it with Flicker or Vengeance for plenty of sustain option, helping you dominate your lane. For items, start with Tough Boots or Warrior Boots depending on your lane opponent, followed by Vorex and Hunter Strike for damage and mobility. Build Brute Force Breastplate next for extra movement speed and defense, and finish with defensive items like Queen's Wing, Immortality or Winter Truncheon in last 2 slots. Remember, the art of build lies in tweaking your items, and their priority is buying in-game according to the situation, which will give you an edge over your enemy. So are you ready to flex your Mangekyo? Is there anything you think I missed? Suyou means? Let me know by dropping down your thoughts in the comment section. So that will be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Keep supporting Kazuki Official.